No, that landed right in the middle of the USSSA sign out there, but that was a bomb.
It's a pretty good lineup when you have your number 5 and 6 guys in the lineup that led the conference in home runs with 102. That's pretty strong.
Yeah. And you know, again, that's one of the things when you look at, you know, when you look at this team that they, you know, and you're a former Resmondo guy, Dennis. You know, Travis and John, when they put these teams together, they really don't miss anything. I mean, there's really no holes in the lineup, which puts even more pressure on the teams they're playing.
Yeah, you know, when they look to fill a slot or replace somebody, like you said, there's a certain player, and you have to have a certain skill level that's going to fill that void,
Correct.
fill that slot. You know, whether you're a 4-tool or a 5-tool player, your role is to not only make the team better, but to build the whole chemistry that revolves around winning. And Resmondo has continued to prove that year after year after year, not only with the talent and the skill level, but with the group chemistry that guys just want to be around each other. They're pulling for each other.
Well, one of the questions I always ask when they talk about picking players up and things, is he a Resmondo guy? You know, if you're not a Resmondo guy, you're probably not going to fit in very well with that group, you know, because these guys, you know, they demand a lot at each other. And, you know, it's you know, like I've talked about before, it's a culture of winning. And when you have a culture of winning, you know, you don't accept anything else. That's why when the chips are down or they're down in a game or something, they don't tend to, you know, cave in like you've seen some teams do. And it, you know, it's a testimony to the guys. It's testimony to the coaching staff and the sponsor.
And every player at this level, they're good.
Right.
They're very good. They're very talented. They hit the ball down. They can hit the ball up. Moving around, they can play the defense. But after the skill level, after you get past the skill level, then it comes down to the mental part of it. You know, do you panic? And Resmondo never panics.
They don't blink.
You know, so teams like Resmondo, Laser Vision, the teams that have done it so well for so long, they've been in situations. They've experienced situations, so they know how to.
Oh, my goodness. That's a hot shot right off your back for Yates.
So they know how to react in certain situations of the game.
Yep.
So it comes down to the mental part. And Resmondo, they've been doing it well for a long time.
I'd like to get a replay on that there. Boy, that was something.
Right how they're exporting the clips from the Laser Vision game, so we are actually we're in a break from replay until they.
You got to be, you know, you really have to be when you're on first base and you got a left-handed hitter.
Heads up, right?
You've got to be paying attention. We're going to get a timeout here, and they're going to try to slow things down and stop the music here.
Not a whole lot of good options against Resmondo, are there?
Nope. I don't know that. I don't know if I'm the backup pitcher. You know, when they start calling your number, sometimes you're like, maybe no.
You know, and it's just a testament to teams that are playing in this tournament. You know, this is the showcase. This is the best of the best. You really have to play flawless softball, both offensive, defensively. You know, you can't give a team like Resmondo 4 or 5 outs an inning. You got to catch the ball, and you got to hit with them. And you can't get wrapped up in who you're playing or how many runs they're scoring. You really just got to worry about what you're doing, how your team is going to approach, you know, a team like Resmondo offensively, and do what got you here. You know,
right.
Base hit, home run, gap shots. You know, move the ball around. But so many teams get wrapped up in a big field like this, of thinking they have to get in a home run battle.
Right, right.
And more so than not, they come on the short end of the stick.
Eisenhower, this one continues to go. Did he get it?
No, boy.
Just over. Dan Skelly nearly trying to make another web gem.
But that ball's hit 410 feet, 415 feet, and I don't even think he hit it. He looked like he missed it.
It's a game of inches some days, isn't it?
Yep. I think you could tell by his reaction that he was pretty close there, but good swing by Izzy. Here comes Santana. But, you know, the thing, like, to elaborate on what you were saying, DT, one of the things that you know, from having played against Resmondo and having played with Resmondo, you know, you have to play all three phases of the game, which is hitting, defense, and base running. I mean, you can't really miss anything there to have a chance to beat them. And, you know, like you said, a lot of these players, they are good. So, you know, you have to come in every game with that, you know, with that mental edge and a little bit of swagger, and they do it, you know, probably better than anybody.
Great grab, and man, that was almost in our top plays. I know maybe we can count it as a top play. Is it really out there at second? That's the question.
That was pretty close at second base. I'd like to look at that too. That was real close.
And Santana out at second. Here's another look.
Look where his foot is. Safe. But that's a tough read for that umpire over on that side of the bag too, and that's why Frank's out there talking to him now.
Maybe we can take another look. I don't know if we had another angle or if that's our only look.
We're going to talk about it. That was I mean, that was pretty close. I mean, that could go either way.
Yeah, the question here, if we go backwards, is does he have his hand on the ball? Because you see the slide is high.
Right.
The foot is very high, and it does look like he is out.
Yep. Again, you know, this umpiring crew always does a pretty good job. At least they talk about it, you know, and they're not scared to get together and discuss it. So you got to give them credit there. It was a good call.
Lindsey Brocklesby there on the replay.
Here comes the Moultrie masher, Cannell. See what he does here. He's off to a good start tonight. There's another hot shot.
And that's what happens sometimes when you think that everything's going good and you have a break that doesn't go your way, and then it just continues. It just snowballs sometimes at times, doesn't it?
Yep. That's
yeah, you just got to find a way to get these last two outs, come back in and tack some runs on the board. You know, one run in the first and one run in the second isn't going to beat too many teams. So they got to find a way to get out of this inning, get back in here and start whacking away.
comes Andy up to the plate. See what Purcell does here.
9 already in the inning. 8 in the first, 9 here in the second. It's 17-2.
That ball's
Keep going.
gone.
Tack on 3 more. They're the first to 20. They're trying to make it a super short game potentially here.
Yeah, I tell you, he just seems to get locked in when we get in this stadium. You know, he's just, you know, laser precision and, you know, sees the ball always well here. I mean, it's you know.
Now, Corny, let me ask you, in a situation like this where Resmondo's up 20-2, more than likely it's going to be a short game. Do you take Andy Purcell out, knowing that if they win this game, they're not going to play till tomorrow night?
I think it proposes an interesting question, and the reason I say that is because, you know, you got a backup pitcher who's, you know, capable guy, you know, but in this particular tournament, if you do what you're supposed to do, you're only going to play one game a night. So, You know, it's a lot of times, you know, I think, you know, Coach Rector down there, he leaves it up to Andy, you know, sees how he feels. But
And I guess it also helps, you know, with playing in the evening, the temperature's not as warm as it could be down here in Florida, so, you know, he's not getting worn out as fast as in years past, where, you know, it's 100 degrees down here.
Yeah, and that's kind of why, you know, when we're talking about Xtreme Mike and coming off a long weekend, you know, playing a lot of games, you know, they get basically, you know, they had Monday and Tuesday off. They play here. You know, the environment here, I mean, you can't beat this right here. This is ideal. I mean, I think any player down there would tell you this is a very, very seasonably cool night for down here this time of year. So, you know, I know they're appreciating it. So, you know, I think that and the factor that, you know how competitive Andy is too. He's probably going to want to stay on the mound.
Lee Powers takes a called strike. Then unloads, but this is going to be a little bit too high and not deep enough. It'll be recorded as out number 2. And now it'll be an opportunity for B.J. Falk. 12 runs here in the second inning.
Of course, you know, a lot of people don't, you know, probably know this, but, you know, Lee Powers is the son of one of the best hitters that ever played the game of slow pitch softball, Jimmy Powers. So he's got a good bloodline. You know, he's one of the, when he's on it, man, he's as good as anybody I've seen.
Yeah, and he, like so many of the Resmondo players, they can hit it a mile. But when they need to, especially playing on the 300s during the season, they can move the ball around.
That's exactly
they
right.
can hit the lanes, hit the ball down, because you're only allowed so many home runs per game. So it just doesn't make sense for these guys to just keep home run after home run after home run that, you know, players and teams were accustomed to back in the 70s and 80s.
Right. I think what's, you know, how the game's evolved too, like with 5-man infields, you know, the last, about 10 or 12 years, you know, you almost see it all the time now. But from your...
I'm going to take a break. We'll talk about it when we come back. We got to get our breaks in.
Plus the...
What can you count on? Legit power, legit performance.
At Worth, it's not just a punchline. It's for real.
End of story.
Here at Champion Stadium, the Wide World of Sports Complex. And Kyle Decker is going to lead it off for Xtreme Mike in here and hit a hard line drive foul.
Yeah, they're going to have to put a handful of runs on the board this inning to even be in this game. And you hope that Resmondo doesn't keep hitting, but we all know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think they don't score at least 5 here. It's going to be a very short-lived night. That ball's hammered to center field. And what a nice play by Nick Santana, the speedy center fielder from Oviedo, Florida. Nice play over there. Bubba Mack takes it the easy way, unassisted. 2 down. Dustin was he hails from the Minneapolis area, and boy, I tell you, he's had some good years. He's pretty productive hitter. Veteran, played a little bit of A, a little bit of major, I think, and now playing the B level with Xtreme Miking, but good hitter, pretty solid.
Yeah, he really got some nice players on this Xtreme Miking team. It just seems like they're choking the bat a little bit and not free swinging like they have been or accustomed to that we've been seeing over the past week.
Yeah. And that may be one of the, when we talk about advantages of playing, that may be one of the disadvantages when you're at Fortune Road and you're, sometimes during the day in the heat, the ball's not getting out of there and you start, going to more of a base hit swing or maybe hitting it the other way. And then you come to this big stadium here with all these big gaps and longer fences and everything. And sometimes it messes you up a little bit.
But even with that being said, the work that these players put in during the week, their BP sessions of, hitting their different lanes and hitting their different spots on different pitches that are thrown to them, if you're in a stadium environment or a 300-foot environment, obviously it's more in depth, but the lanes are still there.
Right. Maybe it's like a memory thing, where it's hard to kind of switch back and forth. And, it's hard to tell what's going through their mind, but.
Well, this is definitely a different atmosphere.
Right.
This isn't league ball. This isn't BP. This is the best of the best. The showcase of softball. And you really have to turn it up a notch.
Yeah, it definitely changes things. There's no question. It is a big environment. You got a big crowd. You got the big jumbotron out there, the scoreboard. The atmosphere here is unbelievable. I do know that, though.
In the nation, we reward safe driving. Add vanishing deductible for nationwide insurance and get $100 off every year of safe driving, which means you could save a lot of Benjamins. We put members first, as we don't have shareholders. Join the nation.
Nationwide is on your side.
You SSSA members, you could save money on your auto insurance. Call a local Nationwide agent or 1-866-633-5747.
Since day one, combat.
We're back. Here we got Jeremy Yates stepping in. Nice play right there. Hard hit ball. That ball right there was hit, my friend.
Another nice play.
Yep. That's our buddy from the B World there, Bernie. Arvenko. Looks like Craig Arntz who had some good, couple good innings out there at the B World, threw some couple shutouts on some teams. Pitching now for Xtreme. DT, talk about a little bit, like, you know, when you're preparing for a tournament like this, what was your routine for batting practice? You know, did you just go in there and, you know, there's a bomb right there by Nicholas. But did you have a certain system you used or a procedure that you know, when you went to take batting practice, or did it change depending on the venue you were going to play on, like maybe going from a 300-foot field to a stadium?
It really didn't change that much, whether we were playing on a stadium or a 300-foot field. I was very fortunate in my young career and throughout my career to have Todd Jerling, Hall of Famer, as a mentor. And he taught me, and he had a routine, and I felt right in line with it. When we went out to BP, and we would always hit Tuesdays and Thursdays, leave on Fridays for the tournament. So the length of your BP depended on if you were in a slump. If you were in a slump or you need to work on a couple things, then you would spend a little bit more time in that certain area. But if everything was clicking, then you wouldn't spend a lot of time because you didn't want to hit yourself out of a routine or out of, you know, the success that you had.
Right.
So we would work on different lanes. And you'd work on the 4-hole. You'd work on pitcher glove side. You'd work on pitcher hand side. You'd work on the 5-6 hole. That's just on the infield. And then you would work on your gaps, especially when playing in a stadium.
Gone.
Especially playing in a stadium, these gaps are so big in right center and left center that you would work on those as well.
Right.
And like you mentioned before, you know, the 5-man has been so prevalent over the last 8 to 10 years that it's actually given players an opportunity to practice and develop a certain type of swing that 20 years ago, it was just one swing.
Right. Well,
so you would work on we would work on different lanes, and then, you know, at the end, we'd always work on pulling the ball.
Right.
So, you know, we had a bag of 150, 200 softballs, and you would hit until you felt comfortable with that certain lane or certain spot you were getting into to get you ready for that weekend.
And I think if you talk to most of the players, they would probably tell you they all have a routine, and they try to follow it. I know that, you know, I hear some players sometimes say, hey, you know, it's Disney week. You know, I'm going to work on my long ball swing a little bit. But I'm like you. I think that if you have the same routine every time, you don't get into bad habits. You know, you kind of, you know, you're going to be a lot more steady throughout a season. So.
Yeah, you stay more consistent.
Right.
Because you never go up there trying to swing 90% or 85%.
Right.
You know, depending on where you're hitting it, you want to go 100% every time.
Salas just hit a hard line drive out there to left field to end the inning. So we'll see what Xtreme can do here.
USSSA is the world's premier sports organization with over 4 million participants. The top youth baseball stars compete at the Wilson DeMarini Elite World Series and the Louisville Slugger Championship, looking to qualify for the USSSA National Youth Championships. In fast pitch, the top teenagers are on the field with USA Select, and the best in the world are on the USSSA Florida Pride. Nationwide Conference USSSA provides the ultimate challenge in slow pitch softball. At every level, you play the best when you play USSSA.
I've prepared all off-season for this day. Thousands of swings got me right here. And I have the best slow pitch bat in my hands. The power of a lighter swing weight, stronger barrel, and extreme distance. Plus the superior feel of connecting with the only three-piece bat in the game. Not to mention I want to leave that team standing on the field. So bring it.
Dan Bergeron. Now, Dan, you earned the last spot in this Men's Major World Series. You won your first game of the day. How exciting is that for Xtreme Mikan?
World Series. We're very excited to be here. It's been our goal for the last 2 years. We were hoping to get here in the next 2 or 3 years. We got here this year. So we're excited. The kids are excited to be here, to play with the big boys and in front of a lot of fans and a lot of other teams that are out here. So it's been a great, to be here.
Well, you're facing the defending champs. You have a large hill to climb. Right. What have you told your team to get back in this one against Resmondo?
Well, we told them at the beginning of the game that, hey, have fun. We know they're going to score the runs. There's no doubt that we're not going to keep them down. Just go out there and play our game, hit the ball hard, and see if we can put up, 12, 15 runs and, see what happens.
All right, Coach, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Back to you, Bern.
Thank you, Kristen, Bernie Gunther, Krista Bedard, DT, Corny from Worth. It's an all-star crew we got on the air tonight, and now you see this Xtreme team. They find themselves down now to their final 3 outs unless they can push across 3 runs here, as it's a 24-2 advantage here in the Men's Major World Series. And you get a couple people that are coming along, and everybody obviously has their favorite in the tournament. We have a couple people picking Laser Vision that they want to win on Twitter, a couple people picking Resmondo. I'm going to make it a little more challenging for you guys. If not those two, who do you see as the next biggest threat that's in the field? DT, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm going to aside from Resmondo and Laser Visions, which are obviously the 2 favorites, the next in line who I had to pick would be the Backman Shop team. I think that their team is built for power.
Right.
They're built for the stadium. They have good defense. And I just think if they can click and put everything together for this tournament, I think they have the best shot other than the other 2.
Corny?
I would probably have to go with the scene. And the reason I say that, and they have a lot of similarities to the Backman Shop team. They both have power. They both have guys that obviously have stadium power. And I think any team with stadium power that can play good defense could match up with some of these teams here. But, again, like we talked about, offense, defense, base running. They got to be able to make all 3 of those things happen to have a shot to beat either Laser Vision or Resmondo. I mean, there's no question.
Dan Skelly at the plate. Albuquerque probably is that other big threat that we haven't mentioned tonight, and they played a tremendous season. And, that's a team that's coming in with a lot of confidence into this Men's Major World Series as well.
Yeah, I think that they possess a lot of weapons that could give a lot of teams trouble especially in this environment. I mean, that's what you got to realize. This environment here is made for certain teams, and but aside from the offensive capabilities they have to play solid defense. And I've also seen, in the last few years, base running errors cost teams games. I mean, it happens almost at least once or twice in tournament that you see that happen. And that's one of the things that, all 3 phases got to be, executed properly to beat Resmondo or Laser Vision, without question.
Yeah, I think this tournament, this conference is so special because it allows the lower teams, the B and C teams that play in the conference to play against the best of the best. And when you play against the best of the best and you get to see them week in, week out, you're going to realize what you have to do as an individual or a team to better yourself.
Right.
So I've seen it many times where a team, this is their first time to Disney in the Major World Series, and they go 0-2, and then the next year, they've learned and they've matured, and they come back and they play, they're 2-2, or they do a lot better than what they did the previous year. And not only the teams that are in the tournament, but the lower teams that are watching and the players that are watching this. Let's say, for instance, they're going to pick out an Andy Purcell. If you're a pitcher, you're going to look at Andy Purcell and say, how is he so successful, and what can I do to do what he's doing to make myself better?
Well, that's a wrap on this game, folks. Resmondo with a big statement tonight, winning this one 24-3, and 4.5 innings. So, you know, it's like I said, we know what it's going to take, and now it's going to be interesting to see who gives them that threatening game and who gives Laser Vision the threatening game. And I agree with you. I think you take a team like Shop, take a team like Albuquerque, the Scene, they have the personnel to give teams trouble in this environment. And I think it's going to be, you know, some of these games are going to happen quick, too, through these brackets. I mean, it's not a long bracket to get to them. So,
yeah, and you know as well as I do, there's always been one or two upsets.
Yeah.
In this tournament. So who's going to be that team that's going to upset, you know, the higher seed?
Right.
And I think it's going to happen either tonight or tomorrow, but it's going to happen.
Well, you can see as we look at the bracket here, DT2, it's not a long road to a collision course here. And it's the same in the top end of the bracket, too. I mean, it's, you know, this if you look at this field here, you got 6 teams in here that could be, you know, very competitive. So, you know, but I like seeing these other teams in this. I like seeing how they soak in the environment and how they, you know, they come in a little wide-eyed sometimes. But, you know, to be on this field with these great players that have come before them is quite a, you know, it's quite a thrill for them. It's also a great testimony to Conference USSSA and how it's evolved and how, you know, these teams now have a chance to play against these teams and get that experience.
Yeah, and I think you'll agree with this, in that there's this year as opposed to last 2 or 3 years, there's so much parity this year. There's so much talent from the major down to the C level.
Absolutely.
That any one of these teams can step up.
Yep.
But there's so many players to choose from and so many players to put together a top-notch team
right.
that can compete against your A teams and your major teams.
Right. Well, it's going to be an interesting week, and I know I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm sure you are too. And, you know, we'll look forward to doing another broadcast. So, Bernie, we good?
Yeah, we're good. We
okay.
got another one coming up. It's Albuquerque taking on TG Brand, and we'll get to it as soon as they're ready to play here on Champion Stadium on USSSALive.com.
Welcome to Boomba Custom Inc., fully customizable uniforms and apparel. Start with several pre-designed looks with the Quick Start feature, or begin with a clean slate using one of the many blank templates available. Each Boomba Custom Inc. garment allows you to choose from a selection of premium fabrics that are specifically designed to perform at the highest level. With countless gradients, patterns, and color options, you can create a unique design specifically for you or your team. Boomba offers stock and custom logos, or you can provide your own. Finish off your design with names and numbers, and add your roster of players to generate an estimate. With the Boomba Custom Ink Builders, the possibilities are endless. Start designing today, exclusively at Boomba.com.